It started on an ordinary Tuesday morning. At least, it was supposed to be. The halls of Brookside High were loud, crowded, and buzzing with the usual teenage drama. Lockers slammed, sneakers squeaked on the polished floor, and laughter mixed with the sharp sound of gossip. Chloe kept her head down, clutching her binder to her chest as she walked toward her science class. She wasn't the type to stir up trouble. She just wanted to keep her grades up, graduate, and maybe, just maybe, win that academic award she'd been chasing all year. She didn't notice Hannah until it was too late. A shoulder bump. Beads spilling across the floor. "Oops," Hannah said, smirking. "Didn't think it would completely fall apart. Must be cheap." Laughter rippled through the girls standing nearby. Before Chloe could respond, Taylor stepped in. "You're such a menace, Hannah. Why don't you get a life and leave Chloe alone?" Hannah's eyes narrowed. "It's cute you think you can talk back to me, Taylor. Remember your place, loser." Chloe crouched down, gathering the beads with shaky hands, when a voice cut through the tension. "Ladies, why are we on the floor?" It was Mrs. Fernandez, her science teacher. "Oh, I was just picking up my beads," Chloe said quickly. Mrs. Fernandez smiled faintly. "I'm just kidding. Actually, I wanted to show you that you got a perfect score on the Unit 4 test." Chloe was the only student to get a 100 on the science exam. Hannah's smirk faltered. Mrs. Fernandez added, "Looks like you're inching forward just in time for that academic award." It was a small victory, but Chloe felt a spark of hope. That same morning, in a completely different part of town, Nia Jones sat in her boss's office at her new job. She had just been promoted to executive assistant and was ready to prove herself. "I'm so grateful for this opportunity," she said. Her boss smiled, but then shifted uncomfortably. "Nia, HR was updating your personal information and there's an issue. We can't find a copy of your high school diploma." Nia's smile froze. "Well, I don't exactly have one." "You didn't graduate." I didn't. But I've worked here for years. I'm a great employee. You know that." Her boss sighed. "I know you are. But it's a requirement for the position. The higher-ups won't let it slide." Panic rose in Nia's chest. "I'm a single mom. I need this job." "I understand," her boss said softly. "I don't want to let you go. If you can get your GED, I can hold your position until then. But you'll need proof of graduation for HR." Later that day, Chloe's friend Taylor leaned over during lunch. "I think you just pulled ahead of Hannah for that award." "I hope so. You need that scholarship money." Chloe nodded. "I want to go to Christie College in Rhode Island. But I haven't told my mom yet." Taylor raised an eyebrow. "That's across the country. What's she going to say?" Chloe shrugged. "It's not like she's going to miss me. We're not exactly close." Back at home that evening, Nia tried to relax with her daughter. She had bought matching pajamas and even planned to make bracelets together. "Kind of itchy," Chloe muttered. "Let me guess, they were on sale," she added with a smirk. Nia's smile wavered, but she let it go. "I thought it would be fun. I even got pizza in the oven." "Thanks, but I'm going to study." The moment felt like sand slipping through Nia's fingers. She wanted to connect, but Chloe seemed to pull further away every day. The next afternoon, Nia visited Brookside High to meet with Mrs. Fernandez, her former teacher. "It's been so long," Mrs. Fernandez said warmly. "I was worried when you dropped out senior year." "I know," Nia admitted. "But now I need my diploma to keep my job." Mrs. Fernandez offered night classes, but they wouldn't start until summer. The GED courses were too expensive. Then she mentioned another option, unconventional, immediate, and free. The next day, Chloe nearly dropped her books when she saw who walked into her homeroom. "Class," the teacher announced, "we have a new student. Nia, why don't you introduce yourself?" "Hi, I'm Nia. I never graduated when I was your age, so I'm back to finish my final semester." The whispers started instantly. "OMG, cringe," Hannah snickered. "She's like so old." Chloe's face burned. "Don't tell anyone we're related," she hissed to her mom later. "If those girls find out, I'm finished." "I could give them a piece of my mind," Nia offered. "No. Just don't humiliate me. Days passed. Hannah and her friends began circling Chloe like sharks. In between sly comments and fake compliments, they plotted. "I think we should invite little Chloe to my party tonight," Hannah whispered. "Tell her Jared wants her there. Then we can give her a little surprise." "Genius," one of the girls replied. That evening, Chloe's phone buzzed. "Hey, Jared really wants you to come to Hannah's party." Her mom's reaction was instant. "You can't go. Those kids are bad news." "You're just jealous," Chloe snapped. "I have friends now. I can't hang out with you all the time." "I'm your mom," Nia said firmly. "If you don't listen, you're grounded." "Fine. Whatever." But Chloe went anyway. What she didn't know was that Hannah had already discovered her secret, that the new student was her mother, and planned to humiliate them both. At the party, the music thumped and laughter filled the air. Suddenly, Hannah grabbed the microphone. "Attention, everyone! Turns out our new student is Chloe's mommy." Gasps and snickers spread through the crowd. "What, Chloe? Can't handle life on your own, so mommy has to fight your battles." The laughter felt like a punch to the gut. Chloe's face burned, her chest tightening. "Now everyone thinks I'm a bigger loser than before," she muttered later. "I was just trying to help," Nia said softly. "Just leave me alone," Chloe snapped. By the next morning, videos from the party were all over social media. Hannah smirked in the hallway. "Hope this doesn't affect your grade. Just a few points lower, and I'll be back ahead for that award." Mrs. Fernandez called Chloe into her office. "I shouldn't have shoved her," Chloe began, "but she deserved it." "What's gotten into you? You're usually a model student." "It's my mom. She's ruining my life." Mrs. Fernandez leaned forward. "Chloe, did you know your mom was my student when she was your age? She had it rough. When she was a senior, she found out she was pregnant. Her parents kicked her out. Your father left. She had nowhere to go but a women's shelter. She was a great student, but she had to work full-time to survive." Chloe stared, speechless. She had known bits of her mom's past, but not the full weight of it. And for the first time, she began to wonder if she had been wrong. Chloe sat in silence in Mrs. Fernandez's office, her hands twisting in her lap. The image she'd built in her mind of her mom, overbearing, embarrassing, out of place, was starting to crack. Behind it, she saw something else. A young girl, not much older than she was now, carrying the weight of the world with no one to help. "I didn't know," Chloe whispered. Mrs. Fernandez gave her a gentle smile. "She loves you more than anything. She came back to finish her education because she wants a better future for you both. Don't let pride keep you from seeing that." The bell rang, and Chloe left the office, her mind spinning. She replayed every moment over the past few weeks. Every time she'd brushed off her mom, rolled her eyes, acted ashamed. The guilt twisted deep inside. She found her later that afternoon in the parking lot, sitting in her car. "Mom," Chloe said softly. Nia looked up, her expression wary. "Hey, I've been looking for you all over the school, but you weren't there." "I figured I'd given you enough grief," Chloe said. "There's something I want to say." Nia tilted her head. "Okay." Chloe took a deep breath. "I'm sorry. I didn't realize how hard it was for you when you were my age. I thought you were just trying to make my life miserable. But I get it now. You were doing it for us." A faint smile spread across Nia's face. "Mrs. Fernandez told you, didn't she?" "Yeah. She told me everything. About my grandparents. About Dad. About the shelter. I guess I was a mistake that ruined your life." Nia's eyes softened. "Some mistakes turn into miracles. And that's you, Chloe. My miracle. I would do it all over again 1,000,000 times." Chloe's throat tightened. "I should have been proud you were at Brookside with me. Not ashamed. I am proud of you." For the first time in weeks, they hugged without the wall of resentment between them. Still, Chloe knew there was more to do. She had to fix another mistake. That evening, she showed up at Taylor's front door with a pizza box in hand. Taylor opened the door, surprised. "Chloe, I need to talk to you," Chloe said. About the other night. About how I treated you. Taylor stepped aside, and they sat at the kitchen counter. I know you've been going through a lot, Chloe began. And I wasn't there for you. I judged you when you told me about the pregnancy. That was wrong. My mom went through the same thing. I should have understood. Tears welled in Taylor's eyes. Thanks, Chloe. I didn't know how to tell anyone. I still don't. But hearing you say that, it means a lot. You're not alone, Chloe said. We'll figure this out together. The next day at school, the whispers started again. Hannah and her crew were by the lockers, grinning like they'd just won a prize. Oh, look, Hannah said loudly. She's back with her mommy. Chloe didn't flinch. Yeah, I am. And I'm proud of her. The smirks faded a little. She's getting her GED, Chloe continued, and I'm going to need you and your friends to leave me alone. If you don't, Mama Bear's going to come out. One of the girls snorted. Whatever. Nia stepped forward, folding her arms. I'm Facebook friends with all of your moms. Don't make me send them a message. That got their attention. And Jared, Nia added sharply, do your own work. He looked away, muttering, Fine. Just don't message my mom. The bullies scattered, muttering under their breath. Taylor walked up afterward, wide-eyed. That was so cool. Nia smiled. Listen, my daughter told me what you're going through. I went through the same thing. You're not alone. Promise me you'll finish school so you don't have to come back one day like me. I promise, Taylor said quietly. Weeks passed, and things began to shift. Chloe still faced stares in the hallway, but now she walked with her head high. Nia, despite her own challenges, was proving she could balance schoolwork and life as a mom. They even started spending evenings together, sometimes working on assignments, sometimes just talking. Then came prom season. One night, Chloe walked into the living room holding 2 dresses. Pick one, she said. Nia blinked. For you. For us. I want you to come to prom with me. My date. Nia laughed. I think they stopped letting parents come to prom a long time ago. Too bad. You're coming. And I made you something. She handed her a friendship bracelet, the beads arranged perfectly. Prom night arrived. As they were getting ready, Nia's phone buzzed with an email. She opened it, scanned the screen, and froze. What is it? Chloe asked. Nia looked up, her eyes brimming. I got my test results. I passed. I got my GED. Chloe threw her arms around her. I'm so proud of you. At the dance, they took pictures, laughed, and for the first time, it felt like all the chaos of the past weeks had led to something good. Chloe had made a big decision too. She wasn't going to the East Coast for college after all. She'd gotten a full scholarship to stay local. I want to be close to you, she told her mom. We've got too much time to make up for. But even in that moment of joy, neither of them knew, Hannah wasn't done. She still had one more scheme in her back pocket. And she was ready to use it. For a few weeks, it almost felt like things had settled. Chloe walked into school without the knot in her stomach. Taylor was doing better too. Her quiet smiles were coming back, and she'd started working on a plan for after graduation. Nia was balancing classes, homework, and her GED preparation like someone half her age. But the calm never lasted long at Brookside High. Hannah had been watching. Always watching. One afternoon, while scrolling through her phone at lunch, Hannah smirked. Look at this, she whispered to her friend Chelsea, turning the screen toward her. I've got a way to make Chloe wish she never came back to school. Chelsea leaned in. What is it this time? It's not just about her, Hannah said. It's about her mom. People have short memories. I'm going to remind them, loudly. That same day, Chloe and Nia sat together at the kitchen table. For once, there was no tension, no sarcasm, just the sound of pens scratching across paper and the smell of pizza in the oven. You know, Nia said softly, I'm proud of you. You've handled all this better than I ever could have at your age. Chloe smiled faintly. I'm proud of you too. I just wish people would stop bringing up the whole "your mom's in high school" thing. They will, Nia said. Eventually, they'll find something else to talk about. Kids your age are like that. She didn't know how wrong she was. 2 days later, flyers appeared in the hallway, slipped into lockers, taped to bathroom mirrors, tucked under textbooks. At first, Chloe didn't notice. But when she sat down in homeroom, the snickering started. Someone tossed a crumpled paper onto her desk. She unfolded it and froze. It was a photo from the party. Her mom, standing awkwardly in the crowd, with the words, "Brookside's oldest student, here to babysit her daughter," scrawled across the top. Chloe's hands trembled. She didn't have to guess who was behind it. By lunchtime, the whole school had seen it. Taylor leaned across the table. "Ignore it. She's just trying to get in your head." "I can't ignore it," Chloe said. "This is never going to stop unless—" She paused, gripping the edge of the table. "Unless what?" Taylor asked. "Unless I make it stop." That afternoon, Chloe found Hannah leaning against her locker, laughing with Jared. "Why?" Chloe asked, her voice steady but low. Hannah tilted her head innocently. "Why what?" "You know what. The flyers. The posts. All of it." "Oh, that." "Just having a little fun," Hannah said, smiling in that way that wasn't really a smile. "Fun." Chloe's voice sharpened. "Do you have any idea what my mom's been through?" Hannah rolled her eyes. "Please. Don't give me the sob story. She made her choices. And you're just riding her coattails to that award." For a moment, Chloe wanted to shout, to tell everyone exactly what her mom had sacrificed. But instead, she stepped closer and said, "You're scared of me. That's why you're doing this. You know I can beat you, fairly." Hannah's smirk faltered. Just for a second. But Chloe saw it. That evening, at home, Nia noticed her daughter's silence. "What happened today?" she asked. Chloe told her about the flyers, the whispers, the confrontation. Nia leaned back, exhaling slowly. "I'm sorry, Chloe. I hate that you're going through this because of me." "It's not because of you," Chloe said. "It's because Hannah's insecure. But I think I know how to end it." The next morning, Chloe walked into school with a plan. She found Mrs. Fernandez before first period. "I want to give a speech," Chloe said. "A speech?" Mrs. Fernandez asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes. At the next assembly. About my mom. About finishing what you start. About not letting anyone's opinion stop you." Mrs. Fernandez studied her for a moment, then smiled. "I think that's a wonderful idea." Word of Chloe's speech spread quickly, and Hannah was furious. "She's going to spin this and make herself look like some hero," she complained to Chelsea. "Then stop her," Chelsea said. "Oh, I will," Hannah replied. "Trust me." When the day of the assembly came, the gym was packed. Students sat cross-legged on the floor, teachers lined the walls. Chloe stood backstage, clutching her note cards. Nia stood nearby, offering a reassuring smile. "You don't have to do this," Nia whispered. "I do," Chloe said. "For both of us." The principal introduced her, and Chloe stepped up to the microphone. At first, her voice wavered, but then she found her rhythm. "When my mom walked into my classroom a few weeks ago, I thought my life was over," she began. "I thought it was the most embarrassing thing that could happen. But I was wrong. Because what I didn't see, what I refused to see, was that she was showing me what real strength looks like. She came back to finish what she started, no matter how hard it was, no matter who laughed." The crowd was quiet. Even Hannah wasn't smirking. "My mom taught me that it's never too late to keep moving forward," Chloe continued. "And if you think that makes me weak, or less deserving, you're wrong. It makes me proud." She stepped back from the microphone. For a moment, there was silence. Then the applause started, slow at first, then growing louder. But as Chloe walked off stage, she caught Hannah's glare. The message was clear. This wasn't over. The applause from the assembly still echoed in Chloe's ears when the bell rang for last period. She walked out of the gym feeling lighter, like she'd finally said the thing that had been stuck in her throat for weeks. Nia squeezed her hand and headed to study hall. Chloe went the other way, back into the noise of the hallways, not noticing the pair of eyes tracking her steps. Hannah didn't go to sixth period. She ducked into the computer lab instead. The room was empty, the tech aide had stepped out. She slid into a chair, pulled out a USB drive, and plugged it in. She'd been collecting things for days: cropped screenshots, a doctored email chain, a study guide with Chloe's name pasted at the top and answers highlighted in a color Mrs. Fernandez always used. She assembled it all into one neat file labeled Chloe_ethicsconcern.pdf and sent it to the anonymous tip line the school used for safety reports. Then she did something else. She walked to Mrs. Fernandez's room while the lights were off and the door was cracked for air. She slipped inside, crossed to Chloe's desk, and taped a folded paper beneath it. A cheat sheet. Tiny formulas. Key terms. All handwritten. She pressed the tape down with 2 fingers and glanced around. The room was still. On her way out, she bumped the corner of a lab table and didn't notice the small thing that dropped from her wrist to the floor. A single glass bead. The same pale blue as the bracelet she'd been wearing all semester. It rolled under Chloe's desk, lodged against a scuff in the tile, and stopped. The next morning, the stakes were clear. The cumulative science final was worth a heavy slice of the grade. It would all but decide the academic award and the scholarship. Chloe felt the pressure but not the panic. She had studied, and she had something she hadn't had in weeks. Her mom in her corner, no secrets left between them. "Breathe," Nia said as they walked up the steps to the building. "Test questions are just locked doors. You know where the keys are. You've been carrying them around for months." Chloe smiled. "Who's the one taking a test this week?" "Graduated," Nia said softly, tapping the folded email from HR in her bag. "But I've still got practice giving pep talks." The class began. Mrs. Fernandez handed out the tests face down. Phones away. Backpacks zipped. Eyes on your own paper. The room settled into that tense quiet of pencil scratches and timed focus. 20 minutes in, the door opened and the vice principal stepped inside with a counselor and a man from the district IT office. "I'm sorry to interrupt," the vice principal said, voice low, "but I need to speak with Chloe." "Bring your bag." Chloe looked up, startled. "Now. Now, please." She followed them to the office with her hands cold and her mouth dry. In the small conference room, the vice principal slid a printed stack across the table. "This came in through the tip line last night. It alleges you had prior access to the exam and used a shared guide with answers." Chloe stared at the papers. Her name in the header. Highlighted text in the exact color Mrs. Fernandez favored. The timestamps were before the exam. It looked terrible. "I didn't make this," she said. "I haven't even seen this before." "We also received a note that a cheat sheet was taped beneath your desk," the vice principal said, eyes steady. "We'll verify after the test." "I didn't," Chloe said, breathing too fast now. "I wouldn't." The counselor's voice was gentle. "We're going to pause your exam while we look into this. Take a seat. Breathe." Word traveled the way it always did. Faster than facts. By lunch, half the school had a version of the story. Hannah ate with her friends, quiet for once, staring at her tray. This didn't feel like it had in her head. She told herself it was because she was hungry. She told herself it was justice. She told herself a lot of things and didn't hear any of them land. Back in the classroom, Mrs. Fernandez finished proctoring and then moved to Chloe's desk. She knelt, ran her fingers underneath, and found the folded paper taped there. She didn't open it yet. Instead she paused, stared at the floor, and frowned. A small bead, pale blue, sat against the leg of the chair. She picked it up and rolled it between her fingers. She'd seen that color before. Not on Chloe. On Hannah. She put the bead in her pocket and walked it to the vice principal. They opened the cheat sheet together. The handwriting was tight, careful, a little too tidy for a rushed scribble. The district IT officer stepped in with news of his own. "That PDF. It was assembled on a district machine last night, Computer Lab Terminal 6. The system logged a user. Not a name. An ID number." The vice principal gave him the look that meant "Don't tell me unless you're sure." He nodded. It wasn't Chloe's login. They called Chloe back in and asked her to write a line from the sheet to compare. The slant didn't match. The spacing didn't match. It wasn't definitive, but it helped. Mrs. Fernandez set the bead on the table and said nothing. The room went quiet in a different way. "Let me talk to her," Chloe said, surprising herself. "Please. Not to attack. Just to ask." The vice principal hesitated, then agreed to supervise. They found Hannah at her locker. When she saw the group approach, she tucked her hair behind her ear and lifted her chin like a shield. "What?" Chloe kept her voice steady. "I need to know why." "Why what?" "Why this," Chloe said. "Why the flyers? Why the party? Why the tip? Why you taped a cheat sheet under my desk? Why you thought you needed to break me to feel okay?" For a second, Hannah looked bored. Then her eyes flicked to the bead on the table in Mrs. Fernandez's hand. It was a tiny thing, a stupid little piece of glass. But it landed like a stone thrown in a calm pond. The ripples reached places Hannah hadn't meant anyone to see. "I didn't," she started. The vice principal spoke softly. "We can pull camera footage outside the lab. We can check logins and printing times. We can do all of that. Or you can tell us what's true right now." Silence stretched. The hallway noise rolled past like distant traffic. Hannah's mouth trembled just a little. She was very tired all of a sudden. Tired of holding the pose. Tired of the way her house felt at night when her parents talked about rankings like weather reports, like stock tickers, like salvation. "She's going to take it," Hannah said, the words fast, small. "The award. The scholarship. Everything I've been working for since freshman year. I can't go to that school without it. I can't. You don't know what it's like at my house." "I know what it's like at mine," Chloe said. "It's not your excuse. It's not your fault either. But it's not your excuse." Hannah's shoulders sagged. She stared at the bead in Mrs. Fernandez's hand like it might roll time backward if she just wished hard enough. "I'm sorry," she said, barely audible. "I didn't think it would go this far. She swallowed. "I'm sorry." There were meetings after that. Calls to parents. An official report. The school followed its process. The false tip documented, the planted sheet recorded, the attempted academic sabotage noted. Consequences were handed down. Loss of leadership positions, suspension from extracurriculars, a formal apology to Chloe and to Mrs. Fernandez for compromising the class. There was talk of the award committee reviewing Hannah's eligibility. There was also a separate recommendation from Mrs. Fernandez, in careful handwriting, asking for a restorative step rather than a scorched earth one. They met in the counseling center for that. A circle of chairs. No audience. No phones. The counselor set the ground rules. Speak for yourself. No interruptions. Honest if you can. Patient if you can't. Hannah spoke first. Hard truths came out with hiccups. Her parents checked the online portal before they said good morning. A B+ made the whole house feel too quiet. She was the oldest. The example. The one who was supposed to. The scholarship wasn't just about prestige. It was about leaving. Chloe spoke next. What it felt like to be made into a target because of something you didn't do. What it felt like to hear your mother called a punchline because she dared to come back. What it took to stand up in a gym full of people and say the scary part out loud. Nia spoke last, only when asked. She didn't talk about the shelter or the missed prom or the nights she cried into a towel so the baby wouldn't wake. She talked about walking into that classroom and seeing faces that were her daughter's age look at her like a mistake proofed in ink. She talked about what it means to finish when everyone else thinks you're done. She didn't cry. Nobody needed her tears to make it true. The counselor nodded, wrote a few notes, and made a plan. Hannah would apologize publicly at the award assembly. She would step back from certain honors but keep her place in class if she maintained her grades. She would complete a project with the counseling office on online harm and accountability, presenting to the freshman class before the year ended. Chloe would be eligible for the scholarship. The committee would review everyone's scores and conduct as usual, but they would do it with all the facts this time. On the day of the awards, the gym felt different. Less like a stage. More like a room full of kids who had finally remembered they were human beings first. Hannah went to the microphone. Her throat looked tight, like she was swallowing broken glass, but her voice was steady. She apologized to Chloe by name. She apologized to the class for making cruelty look normal. She apologized to the teachers for wasting their energy on nonsense when there was real work to do. She didn't excuse. She didn't plead. She spoke and then stepped back. When the academic award was announced, there was a beat of silence that sounded like a held breath. Then the principal read Chloe's name for the scholarship. Not because someone else was punished, but because the numbers and the work said she had earned it. The valedictorian title stayed where it was. The committee had decided not to rewrite 4 years over one desperate week, but the scholarship didn't depend on a single headline. It depended on everything that came before and everything that could come next. Chloe walked to the stage. She felt the floor solid under her feet. She felt every step like a chord in a song finally resolved. She didn't look for Hannah, but she felt her in the crowd, and she hoped the girl had heard the part that mattered. Afterward, in the hallway, kids who hadn't spoken to her in months stopped to say congratulations. Not performative. Just simple and human. Taylor hugged her hardest of all. "I have an appointment at the clinic next week," Taylor whispered. "Your mom gave me the number for a counselor who doesn't make me feel like I already failed." "She's good at that," Chloe said, smiling. "So are you." Graduation came on a hot afternoon with folding chairs and a sound system that crackled on the vowels. Caps sat crooked. Gowns stuck to shins. Names were read. Hands were shaken. Nia sat in the crowd with a program clenched in both hands like a ticket to something bigger than a ceremony. When Chloe's name came, Nia stood up so fast she almost tipped her chair. After the photos, after the hugs, after the mortarboards were picked up from the grass and shaken out, Chloe found her mom beneath a tree at the edge of the field. The shade felt like a small kindness. "I have something for you," Chloe said, pulling a tiny box from her pocket. Nia laughed. "If this is a pizza gift card, I will cry." Inside was a bracelet. Not store-bought. The beads were all different shades of blue, but in the center was one pale glass bead that matched the exact color of the one Mrs. Fernandez had set on the vice principal's table. It caught the light and held it, just for a second. "You found a twin," Nia said softly. "I kept it," Chloe said. "So we'd remember. Not the bad part. The part where the lie didn't stick." Nia fastened it around her wrist. "You know, I always wanted to go to prom," she said lightly. "I might have mentioned that once." "You were my favorite date," Chloe said. "And you were right about the doors and the keys." Nia took a breath and looked out at the field. There were parents packing up, friends taking last pictures, teachers rolling up the cords. It was all ordinary and huge at the same time. "I got an email this morning," Nia said. "HR cleared everything. I start back on Monday. Same title. Same pay. I don't have to be a temp. They even said the way I handled all this showed leadership. I didn't know if that word belonged to me anymore." "It always did," Chloe said. "Some people were just slow to notice." They walked toward the parking lot with the crowd. When they reached the car, Nia stopped and turned to her daughter. "Say the thing again," she said. "What thing?" "The one I couldn't hear for a long time." Chloe smiled. "Some mistakes turn into miracles." Nia nodded. "I used to think that was something you said to make the hard parts feel softer. But I think it's something else. I think it's a map. Not to where you thought you were going. To where you can go now." They drove home with the windows down. The radio hissed between stations until it found a song they both knew. At a red light, Chloe looked over and laughed. "What?" Nia asked. "You," Chloe said. "Back in school. In my school. With your backpack and your sticky notes and your snack stash." Nia grinned. "You mean my emergency mom kit?" "I mean your emergency student kit," Chloe said. "You embarrassed me so much." "Worth it," Nia said. They were quiet for a while after that. The kind of quiet that doesn't need fixing. The kind that is safe. A week later, Chloe started her summer job at the community center, tutoring middle schoolers in science and math. She kept the scholarship letter pinned inside her planner where she could see it when the day felt long. Taylor came by one afternoon to tell her the appointment had gone well and that she was going to walk at graduation in December, belly under the gown and head high. Nia's first week back at work was strange and good in equal parts. People stopped by her desk to say, "Welcome back," and "Congrats," and "You did it." She updated a spreadsheet and felt like she had put a brick in a wall that would hold the two of them up. On a Friday night, they made pizza. Real takeout this time. Not from the freezer, though Nia kept one there on principle. They dumped the toppings into bowls and built their own slices on the counter. The beads from Chloe's craft bin were scattered nearby, little dots of color like confetti that had decided to stay. "You know," Chloe said, "I still want to see the ocean in Rhode Island. Just not to run away. To visit. With you." "We can do that," Nia said. "We can do a lot of things." Later, when the dishes were done and the house was quiet, Chloe sat on her bed and opened her laptop. The cursor blinked on an empty document. She titled it, "The Speech I Didn't Give." She wrote for an hour about the way fear dresses up as pride, and how apologies feel like jumping without seeing the ground but you land anyway. She wrote about her mother's hands tying the ends of a bracelet in the kitchen while the timer on the oven beeped. She didn't post it. Not yet. It was enough to save it. It was enough to know the words were ready. At some point the next day, she'd find the bead on her mother's wrist and spin it once like a coin. And when she did, she'd think about that girl at the party holding a microphone and the boys who laughed and the moment that could have ruined her. Then she'd think about the moment after, the one where she chose not to let it. On Monday, Nia packed her bag for work and Chloe packed her tote for the community center. They left the house at the same time and locked the door behind them. On the porch, Nia paused. "Last one to the car buys the pizza next time," she said. Chloe shook her head, smiling. "Deal." They ran, laughing, not because there was a prize, but because it felt good to move. Because they could. Because the hard thing was behind them and the next hard thing, whenever it came, would have to face both of them at once. In the end, there wasn't a single moment that fixed everything. There were 1,000 small ones. A study session at the kitchen table. A bracelet clasped. A bead found. An apology spoken into a microphone and heard by the right ears. An email from HR. A door opening. And the simple, quiet truth that some lives don't break when the plan falls apart. They change shape. They make room. They start again.